Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and I am joined by bestie Ryan. Say hello.
Hello?
So, Ryan and I made the script for this video, and I'll be actively looking at it, so if it looks like I'm looking at monitor, I'm looking at the script. But, yeah, let's hop right into the opening scene. So, in the first opening scene, we see the security guard. He's trying to escape the office because the animatronics are banging on the door, of course. I'm pretty sure this guy is the phone guy from FNaF 1 because they both die.
Yeah, I do see how he could be the dude. One thing that I loved about the scene is the fact that the way that they designed the animatronic that he was being put into, you could just... I love being able to see the backs of, like, behind the mask. You get to see these, like, two red eyes. And then they also have, like, the blade cogs. Which I don't know why you would design a suit like that. But go off, I guess.
Some people say that shit might be alive and it was actively looking at him while it was getting close to his face. Like it was zoning in on him.
That's even worse.
And part of me feels like it's also a torture device, in a way. Because you're literally strapped into a chair.
Like a saw trap. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, saw trap is what we're gonna say.
Yeah, it felt like a saw trap.
I really wanted to talk about the cool 8-bit opening to the movie after that scene as well, where it shows all of the 5 kids being murdered. Pretty much what it is, they're getting murdered. But so if you die in FNAF 2, you get like a 8-bit minigame. At least that's kind of what they based it off of. And yeah, this shows William. I mean, you know who it is. It shows William taking one kid one by one back into the back room to stuff him in his suit, you know?
You already know who it is.
I already know who it is. But that's pretty much what the opening scene is. It's pretty cool. If you pay attention, Matthew Leonard's name becomes purple when they're introducing the cast members. Same with the actress Vanessa. Her name becomes purple too, but nobody else's.
You mentioned that before, and I gotta say that I never realized that until you mentioned it. I don't read credits. I just look at imagery.
But the thing is, like, I only know it's Matthew Leonard's name because it's Matthew Leonard.
Because it's Matthew Lillard!
Next part is where Mike is working at a mall of some sort, and then he sees this man grabbing a kid quite aggressively and pushing the kid along. It freaks Mike out. He wants out to do it, he basically beats him up to get fired. That's the gist of it.
I think Michael can pack quite the punch.
Indeed. He's a Michael. Michael's so strong, right? Like Michael Myers.
I think Michael Myers is stronger.
Well, he's the embodiment of evil.
Right.
Anywho, they were introduced with Steve Raglan, Mike's career counselor, which is really bubbly and seems sus. And he basically talks to Mike like a disappointed dad because of what he did. But the funny thing is, he's like, you beat up a father in front of his own kid, but the reality is,
he's done worse.
The irony.
I was gonna say, I love that you know the last name of Steven, because I didn't, so I decided to spell it as Steven What's His Name, sort of like What's Her Name by Green Day.
And then Mike goes home and he knows that he has an eviction notice on his front door because he's broke. And then we're introduced to his little sister Abby, but she's way younger than him.
Yeah, they have quite a bit of the age gap, so Mike is taking care of Abby, which I can relate to as the person who is the younger one in the sibling circle.
And then he tries to get her to eat some food. I don't think she ate anything the whole day. But he ultimately gives up and he goes to sleep. And then we're introduced to the first dream sequence. It's a flashback where it's brother Garrett's being kidnapped. And then Mike's song shows up like an absolute Karen with a lawyer trying to take custody of Abby.
I don't think she had the greatest choice of lawyer, but I love the choice of lawyer at the same time because of how bewildered he looks.
He didn't want to be a part of it.
he doesn't want to be a part of any of this, and I don't know how she even convinced him. Like, did she threaten him?
Maybe, you know, she secretly abuses him or something, because it looks like she does.
Kind of looks like it.
But even though he's not, Mike is not scared of it on, but he was threatened by what's going on, so he decided to get the job anyway, so I forgot to mention earlier. Whoops. Steve offered him a job. And then later that night, Mike went to his first shift, and he got to the office, and he found this mysterious tip that somehow has his name on it, which he found weird. So he decided to play it. It shows the introduction to the restaurant when it was open. Freddy Fazbear's. The TV glitch shows him and see Bonnie move.
Which I love the fact that we see Bonnie move first, because he's the first one to move in the video game.
Yeah, night one. Oh yeah, also Steve, you know what happens if you get a phone call, but that's not important. The only phone call we get throughout the entire movie.
You're right, that was the only... Why is that the only one?
Because Steve is busy planning his ultimate plan.
He's rubbing his hands together like a fly.
He really did that after the phone call. He really clasped his hands together.
He does! Yeah. He knows something's up. He's like... What did he say? He said something like... Oh god, what did he say? I can't remember that one-liner that he ended off with.
See you on the flip side?
I don't think so.
Because I remember when he said, see you on the flip side, that's what Scott says. I think he ends like a blog or something.
Yeah.
See you on the flip side.
I didn't even know that.
His phone guy says it too in FNaF 1 as well. Because
Yeah.
phone guy voiced by Scott.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was gonna ask. Yeah, he does say, see you on the flip side.
But how did dude sleep through it all though? Like, I wish we were able to do that while playing the game.
He slept through the entirety of the first night, and I'm a little, I don't want to say peeved. I was
Jealous?
so confused. No, not jealous at all. First time I saw that scene in the theater, I saw him wake up at 6 a.m. and I was like, how did he not die? Because in the first game, if you do nothing, even on the first night, if you just sit there, you will get killed by Foxy.
That's not game accurate.
That's not game accurate, but you do you.
Anyway, we're introduced to the second dream sequence. First time we see the souls of the kids that went missing. And for this animatronics, he asked them if they saw that car drive away. I must have drove, whatever. And then they start taking off, and he started chasing that blonde kid, trying to get answers for his brother, about his brother. So that was it for night one, and now we're back during the daytime at the restaurant scene with Jane, Mike's aunt, Max, and Jeff discussing how they could get Mike in trouble and get fired from his job, but you know, Steve doesn't give a fuck.
And you said that Jeff is Max's brother, right?
Yeah, I literally had to watch back and confirm it, because I wasn't sure.
They were all sitting together at the restaurant table, like a bunch of people from the council. Minus the lawyer, he didn't want to be there for this. He was like, I just realized I shouldn't be hearing any of this. Like, bro someone hurt him.
I think I went with the aunt.
I think it was the aunt.
He just wanted food when the waiter came up.
Come on, I just want him to have like a nice cappuccino and like a plate of pancakes. Leave the guy alone. Stop making him clutch his suitcase.
And then we're back at Mike's house where he's being a silly boy and trying to tear off his America Force poster off of his ceiling at home so he can bring it to work. And then we're on night 2, right? Yeah, night 2. So yeah, we're at the third dream sequence, and it's basically the same thing in the beginning, but he chases the kid that possesses Foxy. How do we know that? Because he's a redhead and he has a hook in his hand. That's how we know. And then he basically turned around and screams at Mike, right?
No, he screamed at Mike with like some sort of black liquid coming out of his eyes. I don't know what that was.
It's kind of hinting at the puppet because,
That was a
freaking
puppet
tears.
reference?
Yeah. Because she has tears running down her face. Well, it's not really tears, but it looks like tears.
Huh.
And then Mike wakes up to a white woman at the front door that's buzzing.
I love that you just leave it at that. He goes to answer the door, and meets someone named Vanessa. Her name is Vanessa, she is the officer, and she goes on to explain the history of this building.
She notices that he's bleeding. She's like, "You're bleeding."
And that was when we notice that whatever happens in his dreams will also affect his wounds in the real world.
Yep.
It feels like a Freddy Krueger situation now that I think of it.
It's about a guy killing kids, what do you think?
Yeah. I like how this was the first moment that I made a correlation between the two.
Mike gets off work, and then Max's brother finds a way to sneak in so they can vandalize the place pretty much. There are two other guys as well, named Carl and Hank. Carl was the first one to go. He got his face bit off by the cupcake, which had razor sharp teeth somehow. And Chica was there too, but she just stood there. Hank sees Carl again, his face bit off, and Chica suddenly turns to look at him. And he starts running off like a little girl, running to the supply closet. But you know who also likes the supply closet? Bonnie.
He loves that supply closet. It's his favorite little hangout spot.
And then he murders Hank, but we don't know how. Like with his bare hands. With his bloody hands, he's not a bear.
Bonnie comes out of the closet. Good for him.
Gas decides to take off down the hallway somewhere and he reaches a dead end. And then we hear Foxy start singing, like his voice like coming off, by the way, I think. And he kills him.
Didn't you say that was the same voice actor for Glam Rock Freddy?
Yeah. And then they were taking too long, so Max decides to investigate on what's going on. And he sees one of the ghost kids that happened to be Freddy's kid, and lures her to the back room where the other endos are, like the parts of the service room, I guess you want to call it. And she sees Freddy standing there, and Freddy's telling her to come close. And she does, but she gets grabbed and gets bit in half by Freddy. She was only half a babysitter that she was. And then Mike arrives back home. He offers a Hot Topic looking security badge to Abby. But Abby doesn't want it, so he puts it in the drawer. She changes her mind and tries to open up the door, but it's stuck. And it causes everything to fall out. She sees the family court order that Mike was trying to hide. And he explained everything, and they're both really worried. Because they don't want their crazy aunt to take her away. And Mike promises that it won't happen. And then Mike hears the front door knock, and it turns out it's Vanessa. And that's how she meets Abby for the first time. And then they just go out and talk about family problems. Yay!
But she only showed up there because, just to let him know, hey, Freddy's got broken into, and you're liable.
Mike tries to call Max, no answer. I wonder why. Then he decides to take Abby to work with him, because there's no babysitter. So they can both get into the restaurant and they go and see all the damage that happened by the... Then they go to Mike's office. Vandalizers, yeah. They decide to go to Mike's office to put Abby to sleep because she's young and she needs sleep.
Mike puts Abby to bed, and I think the cutest thing about that scene is that Abby says, "It's like camping." Love you, Abby.
Mike decides to clean up the restaurant because he has something else to do, and shortly after that, he went to sleep. So we see the camera slowly pan into the office, And we hear a little kid's voice saying Abby, and it wakes her up as she wanders into the lobby and she meets Freddy first. And then we're introduced to Mike's fourth dream sequence. Then he tells the Golden Freddy kid, that blonde kid, that he'll give him anything he wants. Then he wakes up hearing Abby's screams. The animatronics looks aggressive around it, but it turns out they're just tickling her like little kids. And then Abby reveals to the animatronics that Mike is her brother, and they calm down. I don't really want to talk about their eye glow because that's not in the games or anything, but it symbolizes their anger. Like the more like, I think when it's yellow they're cautious, but when they're angry they become red, which we see later on.
I'm trying to remember when they were yellow for cautious.
When Freddy was walking out towards Mike. And when Abby told him, his eyes went back to normal.
Oh yeah. I think they all did that.
Yeah. And then they get home and Mike puts her to bed because she basically passed out the car ride. And then Mike notices her drawings, and the 5 missing kids are in her drawings, including Garrett. So they both go to breakfast, and Mike asks Abby if she remembers having a little brother. Well, and then saying that he did have a little brother. But she said Mom and Dad didn't really talk a whole lot about him. And then he asked her about if her friends are a ghost. And she basically said, yeah, you're a ghost. And again, Mike didn't have a babysitter, so they go back to Mike's work, and we see Vanessa looking at the yellow rabbit drawings with the 5 kids on the wall. So Vanessa confesses that the animatronics are possessed by dead kids. And the truth is, they're just kids and they want to play with Abby and similar age group, you know? So they decided to do like a pillow table fort thing in the lobby. Which I loved Bonnie during that scene. He was so cute.
He was so excited.
But he fell over.
One thing that you mentioned is the fact that the way that all of the animatronics acted like kids, because, well, they are kids, and it shows that they're not completely mad. They will act like kids.
After their little pillow fort thing, Mike wanted to talk with Vanessa about something, and they went to the parts and service room. And Mike finds the Sphinx which looks oddly like Ella from the books. I haven't read the books yet, but I've seen pictures of her and they look very similar, like same hat and everything. And then Vanessa shows what the Sphinx really do and how dangerous they are. And then shortly after, Abby electrocutes herself by strumming Bonnie's unsafe guitar and passes out, which scares Vanessa and threatens to shoot Mike if Mike brings Abby back to his job. So the accident really worried Mike, and Vanessa's stray got to him as well. So he decided to call his crazy aunt to babysit Abby, but Abby didn't take that well and told him that she hates him and locks herself in her room.
She really thinks that he is giving custody over to her because of the way that the conversation was starting, but, like, she assumed.
Yeah, but the thing is, he just called her to babysit.
Mike goes to the pharmacy later on in the day before going to work. He was there to pick up some meds, and these meds are to help him sleep. They're sleeping pills. The pharmacist hands it over to him and tries to have, like, simple talk conversation, and then Mike runs off with it.
What an asshole. And then we know the gist of it by now. Mike goes back to work and we're introduced to the 5th dream sequence. And this is where the people in his dream start gaslighting him and telling him that he can't take care of Abby. And the thing is, gaslighters will come after people that are under a massive of guilt, pretty much, and they can get what they want. Then Mike realizes he messed up because he was willing to give up Abby to get his little brother and family back. And then he turns around and yells for them to leave her alone, and then they start ambush attacking them one by one. thinking myself to be in the same torture device again, but plot armor. And then we come back to Mike's house where the aunt's trying to get Abby to come out of her room. And then she decided to give up and sit in the living room to watch some TV. And then we see Golden Freddy, and he freaking knocks her out. Cold on the floor. They confirm she's not dead, by the way. They can't only say she's sleeping.
She was just trying to enjoy her nick at night.
Then Abby comes out of her room and notices that her aunt's on the floor out cold. And she thinks that the animatronic there is Freddy, but he says, not Freddy. So it's implying it's Golden Freddy. And then they take the cab back to the restaurant, which, you know, Corey is the driver, and he always gets the weirdos.
Wait, did she actually assume that that was the Freddy?
Because she literally suddenly says Freddy when she walks out.
Oh.
And then shortly after, Mike wakes up in the parcel service room, I'm guessing. Because Vanessa saved them from Foxy trying to get them towards the end of the ambush attack. Almost the same thing that happened with Jeff, but Mike lived. Plot armor, again, I just realized.
You just realized?
And then Vanessa reveals that the missing kids are stuffed inside the animatronics, and that's how they're able to possess the animatronics. And this is the biggest plot twist ever. It made me physically say what out loud in the movie theater, that Vanessa is William's daughter. And he took Garrett, which we probably already knew already, but the reveal of being William's daughter was someone that caught me off guard. I even heard the guy behind me say what too at the same time.
I didn't even hear that guy behind us.
I was like, what? And that William influences the animatronics to basically do his dirty work for him, doing his bidding. And then Chica lowers Abby back into the other Parsons service room, I'm guessing. Actually, whatever toilet room they're in. And Chica tries to slip Abby in the spring lock too, because only a child can fit in there. I've noticed that it's too small for a grown-ass person.
Mike rushes into the room and saves Abby. And the next line for after he takes down Chica, he electrocutes Chica, by the way. After that, Abby looks at him and they're like reconvening, and she says, "I love you too, Mike, but we should probably go now."
I just love his way of saying I love you. Like, he can't directly say it, he would just like go around it, but he implies it like a big brother would. And then after that, some stuff happened between. And then we meet up with Abby in the arcade trying to hide away from Foxy. So she does to climb into the ball pit, but that kind of fails, but Vanessa saves her by freaking electrocuting him too. And actually, the ball pit is a reference to one of the books called Into the Pit. I like how, like, this movie is referencing a lot of stuff from the other AUs. And then Mike is looking for Abby, instead sees the yellow rabbit come around the corner, tries to electrocute him, but it does nothing. Realistically, in the flat floor, it would have done something.
It does zip. Wait, realistically in the FNaF lore, it would have done something?
Like in the game lore, is what I meant. Because the spring-lock suits are actually quite finicky, and I'm like, how's this grown-ass man moving around so quick in the spring-lock suit and they're not going off?
Oh yeah. You said that it should have gone off by now if it but in this AU, he just keeps going.
Yeah, being the shit out of Mike. Shocker that Steve is William. I forgot to mention that earlier too, but they said his name. And then Vanessa confronts her dad, and William honestly thinks that she won't shoot him, but she did. He was quite shocked. And then William hits the gun out of her hands. Then Mike tells Abby to draw a picture of what he did to her friends to make them understand and turn on William. And then William stabs Vanessa because Vanessa grabbed him His face looked so conflicted when he stabbed her. Like he realized what he did, like, oh shit, I stabbed my own daughter. And then as he puts the drawing on the wall, and animatronics got mad and started attacking him and ganging up on him. First of all, then attacking him. And then Will was panicking and trying to convince them to be on his side, saying that he created them.
Let's just say he wasn't very convincing at all. I feel like he was very, condemning upon them.
I like how he just called them little beasts.
Little beast.
And then, the cooking put a chunk out of the yellow rabbit's suit. And then somehow that triggers the spring locks. He's getting punctured. He put the head over his head, and then he says that I always come back, and puts on the mask. And then Foxy grabs him by the hook and he drags him away, which is another reference to the books. While Vanessa, Mike, and Abby escape.
I'd like to note that in the theater, when he said I always come back, the entire theater clapped.
Indeed. I didn't say anything, I just made a face. And I think like a few days later, everything was kind of back to normal, and they were back at Abby's school. And the teacher said she sees improvements in Abby, but I'm like, how is this kid not traumatized? Like, she was about to be murdered multiple times. I guess Mike is being a good big brother and carrying all that burden for her, I guess.
I'm just saying the child mind kind of has its own little way of protecting itself because of maybe suppressing memories.
But some kids don't take trauma lightly.
Right.
So what if they get traumatized once, that might impact their entire life?
Oh, yeah.
And like, were they in the car ride first, and then Mike says, we need to go somewhere first?
Yeah, Mike and Abby were in the car, on the drive back home. They were gonna, like, go eat at home. But on the way home, he was like, we gotta make a stop real quick. And they show up at the hospital. He walks in to go say hi to her. Yeah, she's in a coma, by the way.
And seeing him talking to her and while she's in a coma kind of reminds me of Mike in the FNaF 4 game talking to his little brother in the hospital while he's in a coma. Big connection there. It's gonna be so funny later on to reveal to be half siblings. And then once they get home eating their spaghetti, I think it was, Abby asks Mike if they can see her friends again. And Mike is like, what? And he's like, you know what? You never know what can happen. He's not saying no.
He's like, I'm not... He's like, I'm not choosing any fights with this one. I'm just gonna let her hear what she wants to hear.
And then right before the credits roll, we go back to Fazbear's, or Freddy's, who I call it. We see the Golden Freddy kid staring at William inside the suit. And William reaches out to him, but you see his arm physically snap because the spring lock closed in on his arm. And then the kid closes the door, and that's basically it, and it goes to the credits. And the most awesome FNaF fan-made song plays. Five Nights at Freddy's with Living Tombstone.
Five Nights at Freddy's. That's where we wanna be.
But we're not done, because at the end of the credits we do hear this familiar sound from the FNaF 2 minigames of the puppet, which is implying they're making another movie, which is already confirmed.
You say that this was gonna turn into a trilogy?
Yep. We already knew this because Matthew Leonard signed up for 3 FNaF movies.
Oh.
I overall liked the movie. It was definitely made for the FNaF fans, for sure. But I feel like some non-FNaF fans enjoyed it.
It was definitely made for the earlier FNaF fans, the ones that have been fans since like 2014.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one guy in the theater who said that he's been a fan of it since 2014, and I was sitting there like,
That's me.
That's you.
It's
I wouldn't
me.
consider myself a fan now, but I was there during the earliest days of FNaF.
Yeah. I was
there.
freaking 13 at the time.
When FNaF came out, yeah, I was 13 too.
So that is it for the review of the movie. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. If you guys want to see more content from me, please subscribe. But also, if you want to see more content from Ryan, or Risking Ryan, I'll leave a link down to his channel below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
Bye.